Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the Doug Show. My name's Doug Cunnington, and in this episode, I'm going to talk to Andra. She has been working on a couple niche sites and affiliate sites here in the last, well, she'll tell us the exact timeline, but she reached a maximum of $1,500 per month a few months ago. And I think currently she's making about $1,000 per month. Of course, we are rolling into the retail season as we're recording it, and we're just going to hear about the story and get to know Andra a little bit better. How are you today? And did I pronounce your name right?
Hi, I'm good. Yes, you did pronounce my name right. It's Andra. Yeah, perfect. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm good, thanks.
Of course, yeah. And the behind the scenes is I had to practice saying her name like 10 times beforehand. So I'm going to do my best. Well, you're sort of brand new to the show here. We haven't talked too much before, but can you give us a quick intro about who you are and what you do? And then we'll kind of back into how you got into niche sites. But yeah, just a general intro.
Yeah, so my name is Andra. I'm from Romania, but I now live in Amsterdam. And for the past 6 months, I've been focusing full time only on my affiliate websites. But my background is actually in business intelligence, data science, coding, freelancing, and all the other side hustles and video editing. And yeah.
Got it. And I know when we chatted before, like you kind of dabbled in a few different areas and you worked on Fiverr for a little bit too. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience and I guess maybe why you moved away from that into the affiliate marketing space and just kind of a different flavor of side hustle?
Yeah, so I worked on Fiverr as a spokesperson. I've freelanced my spokesperson services to people. I made videos with green screen, with testimonials also, and I was quite successful on that with thousands of 5 stars reviews. But yeah, that's not a long term project for me, and I didn't want it to be. So I've transitioned my way to affiliate marketing on the side, and actually I had a lot of side things, also a job in data, and yeah, I'm a person who did a lot of things at once.
Okay, cool. And I haven't done anything on Fiverr, and it sounds like you did enough work and you had enough gigs, so you had plenty of reviews. I know that some people make it work and maybe they continue to raise their prices to sort of scale it because at the end of the day, you are trading time for dollars, which is something a lot of people want to get away with or get away from. So did you have the opportunity to like scale up your pricing to make it more worthwhile, or did you just decide, hey, I don't want to keep doing these green screen videos?
Yeah, so at the beginning, I really started with $5 gigs, providing quick testimonials for people. And I had like dozens of those. And then I quickly realized that I need to scale up also the quality. And so I could jump up my prices. So I started offering really professional commercial style spokesperson videos with green screen, 3D effects. And I was really a pro in After Effects, Adobe. And yeah, I actually, I think in 1 month I made over $2,000 from just a few commercials. It was three, four videos on that. But it was not sustainable, and it's still freelancing. You depend on Fiverr's algorithm and who's on the top of the page then, and yeah, it's not sustainable, and it's not something that I wanted to do long term. Although it was quite profitable for a while, for 2 years. Yeah.
Okay. And before we dive into the niche site area, can you talk about maybe a couple of the other side hustles and things that you got into? It sounds like you learned a lot about software around the same time, and you mentioned some more analytical stuff too. So if you could just pick like one or two areas there.
Yeah, so while I was working on Fiverr, I was also providing voiceover services, but in Romanian, in my native language. And I also had a YouTube channel where I reviewed games and products, and with my voiceover and music. And I also what I did was selling some of ringtones that I used to make because I play guitar, and yeah, it was fun, but again, not sustainable. And I started to learn programming, and I went really deep into Python. And when you learn Python, you learn also about the library pandas, about data analysis and visualization tools, and I was really into that. So I started learning that, and I actually got a job 6 months after I learned that on Code Academy. And yeah, these were my side hustles, but my love for affiliate marketing never faded.
Gotcha. Okay. And just to be clear, you said Python, right?
Yeah,
Python. Okay.
Python.
Python. Got it.
It's a programming language.
I never dabbled in Python, but I have like a software background. So I looked a couple times. I was like, oh, that seems really cool to learn, but I didn't have any problems that I needed to solve. So it just looked like a cool intellectual exercise. So I never dabbled in it. So, okay. So you've done many different things, and you sort of came back to affiliate marketing. So when did you first learn about niche sites, affiliate marketing, and kind of this sort of business model?
It's a long story. I'll try to keep it short, but basically it all started with a basic Google search, how to make money online. So back then I was doing the Fiverr gigs, and yeah, while I was looking over Google, I got into this passive income world, and making money while you sleep. And that was very fascinating to me. Of course, that's not true, because when you're awake, you need to do a lot of work so you could make money while you sleep. But yeah, the first bubble I got to was the wrong information bubble, warrior forum, reading about clickbank products. And although it was fascinating, I didn't know that I'm on the wrong path because I ended up making landing pages in WordPress promoting clickbank products, but with zero SEO strategy. So I was basically going to Facebook groups, and I pushed down my affiliate links there. Hey, spamming people, have you heard about this product, and so on. And that, yeah, wasn't successful. But 3 years ago, I was at a bookstore and I saw Pat Flynn's book, Will It Fly? And I bought it, read it, and really inspired me, and got me into the right side of this affiliate marketing field. And I found your channel and your videos, and those really helped me to actually build what I call a proper website with a proper SEO strategy, with keyword research, with competition analysis, all the good stuff and the long-term stuff that you can actually build a future from. And I remember watching your Q&A videos, like drinking my coffee in the mornings, and reading through your comments, and yeah, watching every successful story you had there. It was really inspiring, and also got into like other YouTubers and the Authority Hacker podcast, the Income School, and other gurus. So yeah, for the past 3 years, I've been building also on the side my websites. Even I had a few in Romanian, but with a proper strategy. Yeah, 3 years ago, that was it.
Okay. And I was going to jump back and just curious, when you first found the Warrior Forum stuff, like what year was that roughly?
It was, I think, 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. And then 3 years ago, so 2018 or so, you got Will It Fly, and then that kind of launched you in the right direction. Excellent. Okay. So tell us about the websites that you have right now, and we'll keep them confidential, and not reveal the niche or anything. But yeah, kind of walk us through, and then we'll focus in on the biggest site. But just tell us what you have in your portfolio, I guess, right now.
Yeah, so now in my portfolio, I have 3 websites, but lately I've been focusing on growing my outdoor site. So I guess I'll focus on that one. But yeah, the first website I had was an exact match domain after reading Pat Flynn's book. But it was actually very successful. It made like $1,500 one month with little traffic, but yeah, it got knocked out from an algorithm update, but it's now still making money. But the main site, my outdoor site, I started it 2 years ago in 2019, and I've added about 40 articles that I wrote myself there, but this time with the idea of learning from my past mistakes and making it fit a larger audience and build it more as an authority site rather than a small niched site. And so I could scale it in the future and not run out of topics with it. And at the same time, I also can say that it's also niche down. It's not too general like outdoor, but it's also niche down. But it's seasonal, which is also a good thing. I want to like diversify some things to make it like successful in every season. But yeah, in 2020, then after I put those 40 articles, I just left it there because meanwhile I got a job in Berlin, that data job, and for a year I haven't touched any of my sites. So, but while I was working that corporate job, I saw that those articles started to marinate well and started to make money, and I really missed that. Seeing that this website makes me money without me working it in that moment, working at it in that moment was fascinated. So yeah, 1 year I haven't touched it, and this year in 2021 I quit my job and I said, okay, let's continue with it, let's grow it, and let's put more effort, and let's put some of my own money and my wife's money into it, so we could outsource stuff and really give this a proper chance. And I'm glad I did, because I added 40 more articles on it, which most of them I've outsourced. And yeah, I'm now enjoying the results.
Nice. And I just want to make sure. So I'll summarize to make sure I have it, and then we can talk about this larger site. So you have a couple sites or a few sites, and one of them is sort of getting the most traffic and it's earning the most. You started it in 2019 and published 40 articles, and then sort of didn't touch it for a little while, right? And you wrote those first 40. And then after a year, you started working a corporate job, and all of a sudden it started to earn more money. It started to take off, and you thought, okay, I need to give it some more effort here. And that was about 6 months ago. You published about 40 more articles, doubled the content. So is it 80 articles total at this point?
Yeah.
Okay.
80.
And we'll start diving into a couple areas. First, I want to know how you selected the niche and some of the early keywords. Can you talk about your approach?
Yeah, so my approach for niche selection usually is going on these big websites like Amazon, Home Depot, Etsy, and browse through their categories and subcategories, and just use my common sense to find out interesting and quite strange products and to get ideas. And then I think I got a 7-day trial from Ahrefs and just popped every of those strange product ideas and subcategories there, and analyzed the serves and so on, and found my niche this way. just, well, I have a background in data, so I just overanalyze everything. This is how I find stuff. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. And then did you have interest in the topic area or some of the products or anything, or is it just arbitrary and you don't care?
Arbitrary and I don't care. Yeah, it was a. I found this niche to have lots of opportunities for low competition keywords, and and also I checked Google Trends, and it was a topic that was raising, and not so many people approaching this subject in detail, but yeah, it seemed very profitable, and that was the only thing that mattered to me. Yeah.
Okay. From the keyword list that you sort of initially generated and your sort of vision for the site, can you tell us about how much affiliate review content versus just pure informational content you were thinking you would have, and what's the makeup right now out of the 80 articles?
So I started with only affiliate articles and keywords, buyer intent keywords, which then I realized I don't want to do that, and I want to diversify. And now I have like 70% affiliate and 30% informational, but I'm planning hard on changing that because I don't feel super comfortable on that ratio.
Right. Yeah, especially with the sort of more recent updates from Google where maybe they're going
Yeah.
after the sites with too much affiliate content. Now, are you
Yeah.
nervous at all about being able to find enough informational content, or is it out there and you just have to find those keywords?
I was nervous until I took like 3 days of research and found tons of keywords. And I really, because I chose a domain name that allows me to scale the content as much as I want, I found opportunities that is not really related to the topic, but similar. So you wouldn't mind if you see an article about a different topic but similar on my site. Yeah, I don't know if it makes sense, but yeah,
Sure.
the niche selection allows me to generalize more. So yeah, found lots of opportunities.
Did you make any specific mistakes, maybe in the last year or two? I know early on you mentioned the exact match domain, which, I think that can work sometimes still, but it seems sort of short-sighted and maybe doesn't have as much upside if you were to sell the site. So, yeah, any mistakes that you've made now that you have been in this for a little while?
Yeah, I think I made the search intent mistake. I didn't check manually the SERPs and what Google wants actually before like writing an article. For example, I know I've put all my faith in one article who was ranking good for a while, but then it got smashed because Google wanted the preferred e-commerce site instead of my buyer's guide. So, but when I did my research, like 80% of the results in the first page were e-commerce and 20% were a buyer's guide. So I chose to be hopeful, and yeah, I wrote a complete buyer's guide, which worked for a while, but then it got smashed because Google preferred e-commerce. So search intent was a mistake I make, not looking at search intent. What I mean, yeah.
All right.
And now I always check manually the first page of results.
That's a good one. Any other mistakes?
Yeah, the exact match domain. I don't know, going after keywords that are super broad. I think at the beginning, you shouldn't go for broad keywords with high competition. You should choose the low hanging fruits and use your KGR method is excellent for at the beginning and maybe even later. And yeah, just choose the keywords and do some competition analysis with it.
Great. Moving on to like getting traffic and actually ranking. So it sounds like you spent a lot of time thinking about the niche overall, the keywords, and selecting low competition. Is there anything else like link building or promotion otherwise that you did?
Link building is a topic that I just recently started to get into it. And actually, next month, I will get a link from American Express, which is huge for me, the big company. Yeah, it came organically. Someone contacted me and said that if I want to contribute to their winter edition or something like that in a big post they're making. And I gave some of my comments, and they'll publish it next month. And also, I used Harrow but that was for my tech site, and I got a link from a technology company. But otherwise, I need to work on it. A bit I need to work on it. Yeah. Okay. Link building. I did some blog commenting at first, but yeah, it's not my forte. And I'm sure if I would do it properly, my websites would have succeeded more and will succeed more.
Got it. So overall, you got traffic and rankings basically through the keyword research and paying attention early on, right? And you didn't do anything else. Okay.
Yeah, keyword research, competition analysis. That's my rock. Yeah, and especially low competition keywords, long tail, and choosing queries from people also ask and Google suggestions, and that was my focus. And also nowadays, I think more topic clusters than like keywords separately, and this is a good strategy that works now.
So for the clusters, how many keywords are you looking for? How much content? Can you give some guidelines on that?
Yeah. So when I look on Google and I see that I find more keywords that are similar with each other. For example, let's take cleaning up your guitar. If I see people that queries that are how to clean your strings, or is it okay to clean your guitar using water or oil or something, I realize, okay, I can make bigger guide like guitar care, the ultimate guide, and then to like explain shortly approach every subheadings and every questions that I find in people ask, but briefly, and then to link to more detailed pieces of articles that are really focused on those subheadings and detailed keywords that I find and people also ask.
Got it.
And this is an approach that works for me, and I heard many people have success with it.
Nice. Okay. So diving into some of the other content, how did you approach maybe like writing some of those initial reviews? You mentioned Romanian's your native language and you're writing in English. Like, can you just take us through some of that and some of the challenges too?
Yeah. So at first I wrote myself. The first articles that I wrote were quite hard to write as a non-native speaker, English speaker. It's tough because you're always in Google Translate or thinking, does this sound right? Would a native speaker realize that I'm not a native speaker? But later it started to get easier because I used shorter sentences, like just put the information out there, and I had my rule that every sentence has to bring some information, so no fluff. And I also wanted for a while to outsource, and when it was time to outsource, I felt like I'm taking a risk, and I suddenly I was overwhelmed by all of it and stressed that maybe I did not do a great job at keyword research, you start overthinking anything if it is to put your own money into it, and it's a strange feeling. But when I outsourced, it was unbelievable to see that how well my writer has written all the articles, and I also found a great one using Upwork and gave her like subheadings. And this is also a rule that I have, not to give entire freedom to your writers, but to give them some instructions and use every subheadings as a guidance from for them. So because otherwise they will take your money and write about things that won't appear in Google, but probably are fun to read, but they're not SEO
Right.
focused.
Okay, great. And can you talk about the experience of hiring those writers? Did you have to try out several writers before you found good ones? And you already mentioned it made you a little nervous to put the money on the line, not knowing if it was going to produce results.
Yeah, so what I did, I used Upwork at first, and I've put a nice job description, and I've created a style sheet and gave the job posting. I made sure it's very accurate, so the writer has every information about what I want the result to look like, and I offered a paid test. Of course, my AirPod. It should be. I hate free giving people free tests. These are never good. So I made sure I will pay you for a first trial, and let's see what you have. And I was so astonished that I think 60 people were applying to that job with their examples, and I had like a pool of 10 people to choose from, and I gave them trial tests and chose like two the best ones, which are still writing for me when I want.
So you're obviously outside of the US. So do you have any specific tips for people that are also outside the US?
Yes. So whenever you do keyword research and use Google, you always have to use a VPN with USA location selected, and preferably in incognito mode, so you could get the most accurate results. So I use Proton VPN. It's really nice because it's free for one location. So this is great. No money upfront.
Okay.
And this is the tip.
Great. And yeah, people ask, some form of that question, and usually I can't give great advice other than use a VPN and use a US IP address. So, did it take you a while to figure that out, or did you know?
I actually knew it from the the beginning because I was using the VPN US to watch USA Netflix. So yeah, I knew my way around it. But I saw how inaccurate the results are when you're in Europe and you search for a query. You get totally different results than you would if you've been using VPN. Yeah, it's very important.
Got it. Okay, so we're going to start transitioning a little bit into sort of a different area here. So before we move on, do you have any additional tips for people that want to replicate this? Maybe they're sort of in the same like first year period that you were a couple years ago, where you were like, I'm going to write this stuff, maybe it'll work. And then it was kind of sort of not poor results necessarily, but it just takes a while to get started. So any general tips for people that are in that earlier stage?
I think just keep going, and the silly advice, but it really is about consistency if you want to have some success, and to take your information from good sources. So if you follow Doug or anything, anyone who is really not promising fast results, but it will say that it will take a while, then it's a good advice. And if you follow their tips, you should be fine. And also, a thing that I used to do a lot at the beginning, I watched my analytics like every day, in the morning, in the noon, when I was away, not home, on my mobile, and uh, it really impacted my productivity. So I would advise anyone, if you can, just look at your analytics at the end of the day, because it can get really obsessive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe just once a week.
Oh,
Something like
yeah.
that. Yeah. However you could resist. So
Mm-hmm.
one thing I'll point out for you is you pivoted and sort of adapted along the way. So you were learning sort of poor practices in the beginning. You didn't quite know it. And then you jumped ahead. You started building sites in, as you described, a more proper way. But then you pivoted a little bit more. So each time you made a mistake or were in a situation where there could be improvement, you have been looking for other ways to improve and continue to adapt. Occasionally, I run into folks that they'll just keep doing the same damn thing that doesn't seem to be working, and then they'll do it harder and more and more. And maybe it's part of the culture of like hustle and just work harder and work harder, but that's not always the answer. Working hard is a great thing to do, but sometimes if you're doing the wrong thing, then you're just getting frustrated and working harder for no reason.
Yeah.
So, but it seems like you've done a good job. Okay.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
So how has the success of, we'll just say, your main site impacted your life so far?
I think I feel more rewarded and more proud of what I create. It's really satisfying to see that uh, you get a commission for a product that you recommended, or it's really satisfying to see that the money are coming in a way that you um, from a way that you enjoy doing. So I also feel I have more freedom to regarding my time management. But of course, how I manage my time right now is like by working harder and harder. So I guess I'm also a bit more stressed, because it's an entrepreneurship, and it's rewarding, but at the same time it will feel a bit risky. This is probably, I hope so, until you get some diversification and stable way, and not only one source of income and not only one source of traffic and so on. Yeah, but it's great. It's great. I'm still at the exciting phase right now.
Right. Very cool. And one question I'll ask, and you don't have to answer, but I'm just curious. So I know when people first learn about something, it can be affiliate marketing, which is our specific example here. When people learn about something and they get very excited, they want to tell people all about it. And I know when I told my friends or my wife, like, they listen a little bit and then they're like, okay, you're obsessed with this thing and you're spending all this time. Turns out you're not even earning any money. So what are you even doing? So with your wife, were you obsessed for a little while and you were telling her all about it? And then, luckily over time, you've actually started to earn. But yeah, can you just share whatever you want to share? You were nodding, so I think you have a story at least.
Yeah, it's tough saying what you do and why are you so excited about, especially when no money are coming in at the beginning. And my wife I was lucky because she was supportive from the very beginning, and well, I also had some side stuff who that were bringing money. But with friends, I find it tricky to say what I do. Nobody like understands, and I feel like I explained really well. And afterwards, I get a question like, so you're making websites, you're freelancing websites. Can you make me a website or something like that? And yeah, it's tough, but if you find at least one person who understands what you do, it's fine. Yeah. Once the money are coming, the story gets easier to tell.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say, I remember with some of my friends, I don't even think I mentioned that I was like doing some side hustle stuff until I was making, say, like over $1,000 a month or something. Cause that people can appreciate that, like, regardless of how much money they are making or how successful they are, like $1,000 a month is pretty significant for most people. So the
Yep.
story is easier to tell if you're earning money.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so we'll make a little announcement. We buried it deep in the episode here. So we're going to be working together on a case study where I'll be coaching you and helping you along. So we could almost treat this partially as like some of the early coaching where I'm really just going to ask some questions. So you reached a point where you're making about 1,500 per month maximum at this point. Seasonal, so it sort of dropped down to about 1,000 or so. What do you think has been holding you back so far? Why haven't you been able to grow more?
I think I wasn't courageous enough to take more risks and to actually invest more money into outsourcing. Because I know that if I put more quantity and quality, it's a system that works. So I lacked in putting my our money as a family into this. So this is where I think that I lack. Yeah, and this was holding me back from like being ultra successful. Yeah.
Got it. And over the past 6 months, you've doubled the amount of content. Have the results already given you more confidence to invest more? Or where do you stand with being confident to put more on the line?
Yeah, so the past 6 months actually was on a personal note. I've relocated 3 times in this year. I've been living in Germany, Bucharest, and now Amsterdam. So this in the past 6 months, this took a while of my time, but I actually so it was not actually 6 months full time working on them, but I saw great results. And when I look in Ahrefs and see how well the site is going, it's like a curve straight upwards. And I see that the content I've put in, that I've outsourced, is paying back. But being a seasonal niche, I'll probably see those results next summer.
Got it. Okay.
I'm excited, to also diversify and put more content suitable for colder weather and so on, and colder season, and more general topics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. So that's good. It actually makes it much easier because you're basically telling me like what stuff we need to work on. But hopefully I'm asking the right questions. One thing I haven't taken a deep look at your site. Do you think there are any problem areas or places where you're uncertain if you've done things properly? Maybe you've missed something. Any symptoms or issues that you know of already?
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is true, but I sometimes I feel that maybe I have some technical issues, or the speed isn't that good. And I had like this week Google stopped indexing a few of my articles that I put there, and I started to wonder, is that holding me back, or is this normal or not? So I definitely I'm not sure, but maybe there are some technical things. Also, the speed is still not great, although I did some efforts and bought WP Rocket, and I use Ezoic and Cache CDN, Ezoic CDN, not their Leap tool. I use WPX, and still, but I use Elementor, and that might slow down my site. So this can also be an issue that I am aware that we need to fix.
Okay. I know you're using Elementor. I always talk shit about all the page builder things, so I should have checked that at first. And then I would have been like, no way, I'm not even going to work with you. No, I'm just kidding. So, okay. Any other things? And this is one of those times where I know I just asked you the question, but like I'm being redundant to give you time to think a little bit more. Like, is there anything else where you're like, I should probably take a look at that?
Maybe even at the keyword research, because I'm so like proud of what I did, but if I'm wrong there, I could make. I don't want to mess up the future content strategy. So to make sure that I'm targeting the right keywords, and nowadays I want to focus more on informative articles, information articles, and I'm good at buyer's intent articles, but I'm not sure if I'm doing the right strategy for picking the information articles, because I saw that Google indexing thing. I've recently published an article that was not super. It was not how to say that in line with the content I've been publishing before. It was something a bit different, but in my opinion, it still was related to the topic. And I saw that Google didn't index that article, and I start to wonder. It was a question type article.
Okay.
So and like I would love your feedback on that.
So, and I'll just rephrase. So it was sort of outside of your normal topic area. So you're wondering if the topical relevancy is something Google is recognizing, or if they're like, oh, we're not even going to index that right now. Is that kind of what you're asking?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, like all good questions, the
to
answer
give
is
an example.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. To give an example, it's like maybe I have an I don't know, gardening website, and then I usually talk about gardens, and then I put and flowers and so on, and then I put an article about can flies I don't know damage your garden or
right. So it's like kind of related, but not exactly the topic area.
Yeah.
So the answer is I'm not sure. I think probably every site and every situation like that could have some different result. I would think if you are writing, and it sounds like you're okay, if you're publishing content where the same audience should be interested in it and it's, fairly closely related, it should be okay. Worst case scenario, you take off your SEO tinfoil hat and you think about what the user might find or what the visitor might find useful. That article is probably okay. So worst case scenario, it's useful for someone and maybe Google doesn't care. So hopefully, in the long run, any one single article is just a small investment and hopefully you learn a little bit of information from it. But from what you described, I think it's probably okay. You mentioned being maybe a little scared of going in the wrong direction content-wise and keyword selection and that sort of thing. Are there any other areas where you're a little scared or afraid you may make a mistake in the future here?
Yeah, I guess relying on Amazon and but I already told you, but diversification is, I think, one of the most important things that I want to consider when pushing out more content. And yeah, this is pretty much it. I want just to make sure, but I think anyone wants that the content I push there it's covering a wide pool of opportunities, also affiliate and ads, and yeah.
Got it. Okay. Very good. Well, I'm excited to work with you more, and
Me too.
we'll put some links so people can get to the stuff that you're about to mention. But before I let people know about that, do you have any other like general thoughts or things that I didn't ask you that I should that you want to mention here?
Yeah, not really. I think I've covered pretty much everything. Yeah. Maybe one more question to you. If it's quite niched down, do you still write meta descriptions? Is this still a thing? Because
Good
I
question.
heard, yeah,
So
people that are not anymore.
I haven't been doing that in the last couple years. Actually, maybe even longer than that. I haven't researched it recently to hear like the latest information on it, but for probably three to 5 years, I've generally been saying Google is picking whatever meta description they want anyway, and they'll sometimes take it so that it's much more relevant to whatever the search query is. And with that said, I just stopped doing it. I have heard from SEO experts who actually just offline conversations, they said, you know what? You really should fill them in because it does make a difference. And I think they were generally citing previous case studies from like years ago. So
Mm.
to answer your question, I haven't been doing meta descriptions. I have started to add them back to a couple articles here and there, but in the sort of lazy fashion, much more casual than I used to be. I don't even remember which ones. I haven't checked any of the metrics to know if it worked better or not. But
Mm.
in general, I haven't been doing any meta description because Google is just choosing whatever they want anyway. So, what are your
Mm.
thoughts on it?
Yeah, I used to write meta descriptions until I stopped because I also realized when I was searching for my articles on Google using different keywords, Google just, as you said, took whatever it wants from my article. I what I do is like bold the important text in my article. So I saw that. Also, Google picks up the bolded text and show it in the search results. But no, I've been not writing meta descriptions in the past, 6 months since I've, yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny with all the SEO plugins that, I mean, that's like one
Mm.
of the most important things, right? Like have the meta description, but like I said, Google's just choosing whatever they want. And I think the theory, when the SEO experts were telling me, oh, you really should fill them in and use a meta description, the logic was mainly, well, maybe Google will actually use your meta description and then at least you have control over that, which potentially could
Mm-hmm.
be true. But my sort of fail safe was I would write the first sentence of whatever the post was to be good enough to serve as the meta description. So at
Mm.
worst, I was hoping that Google would just use the first sentence, which would serve as the meta description. So that's one thing maybe I leave out. But at
Mm-hmm.
the same time, it's like, well, Google's going to choose whatever they want anyway. So,
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
yeah. Any other questions?
One question. Recently, I started to experiment with these local keywords. Like I found it to be more low competition, but also had a decent amount of search volume. For example, best catering service in San Diego or best vegan shops in Napa Valley or something like that. And I've I write these articles and then I list these best companies, for example, best catering companies, and then I reach out to these companies and let them know, hey, I've been featuring you in my blog, And they, more than 50%, they either shared my site on their Instagram stories, and some of them linked back to me using their press or reference section on their own website. And I was wondering if this counts as a backlink, or it's because we're linking both to each other, it's null
Right.
in Google's eyes.
I think it counts as a backlink. So sort of the danger, the old reciprocal backlink idea was when people linked from like homepage to homepage, like in the blog roll, like if you remember back 10 or 15 years ago or something, where people did have blog rolls. And like I said, they would link from homepage to homepage. That ends up being a little bit funny. And that's, I think, where some of the reciprocal backlink conversation came from. However, right, if you think of an actual website, for example, I have my blog and maybe I link to Niche Pursuits, Spencer Hawes' blog, and maybe he links to me a couple of times from various articles. There's specific articles. Rarely are they, directly linking from like one page to the other. Sometimes they could be, but rarely that's the case. And it's more like I am linking to a specific post where Spencer references something and vice versa, right? So that sort of makes sense if you think about a bunch of bloggers in the same topic area and they're linking to each other. Of course it makes sense because they may even know each other in real life. So I think that is okay. Probably, like most things, if you were to do that exclusively and you had thousands of links like that, that would be a little bit funny. But if it makes up sort of a smaller percentage and it's not, a huge number, it's probably a great way to add diversity from the, referring domains in general, but it's also most likely relevant to the topic areas too, which is helpful.
Okay, that's helpful. Thanks.
Yeah, and that's a good way to like build links in a kind of a natural way where you're not like spamming the world, but you're actually like featuring a company and they do appreciate it and it brings them authority and expertise in their area. So everyone wins, and I think that is, like I said, a fine way to do link building.
Yeah, and actually this thing is just, I recently started, but I saw a lot of fuss, and I'm using Instagram to reach out to them. And also the American Express link, they told me that they found me via Instagram. So probably they saw some of this huge, company that I was featuring that mentioned me, and then they got in touch with me. So it has an advantage.
Awesome. Yeah. And I often mention just the networking aspect. Like, you don't know how it's going to work out. So it started with you featuring a local business, reaching out to them. Most of the time, nothing happens. They may even not even reply back. But sometimes you'll have these like deeper relationships. And Christy, who I've interviewed several times and did the case study with me this year in 2021, basically that's how many of her connections were made, through her very small Instagram profile, like hardly like sub 1,000, I think, followers, and just very, very small. But she would reach out and like slowly build relationships with either other influencers or the direct brands. And now it's turned into, bigger relationships, being a contributor on this much larger retail site, one of the big players in the niche. And you never know what it's going to grow into or who may actually be a good partner in the future. So that's really good.
Yeah, true.
Good questions. All right. Anything else before we start wrapping up?
That's it for today. I'm looking forward to working with you, and put all my efforts and 100% into affiliate marketing in this outdoor site.
Awesome. All right. Well, I just thought of one more question I want to ask you, and I ask it on my other podcast, but can you describe like what a perfect day would look like for you?
when I'm already successful, very successful with the website. With the website.
You know what? Why don't you describe it in two ways? So one would be, say, in the next quarter, 3 months, short term, and then yeah, further out, say 3 years.
Okay, so in the next quarter, I imagine waking up and have my Google spreadsheet with lots tracking all the keywords and the writers that are writing the articles for those keywords, and keeping track of these, and getting content published a lot, and maybe to see myself at the end of the day that I've invested this amount of money in the art, in at least one article, yeah, per day, or I don't know, yeah, and to just focus on, to leave the content creation for the content writers and focus on building partnerships and building links and growing and learning from you and from all the other sources. And yeah, I think for the next 3 months, hard working, but with outsourcing. And at 6 p.m. to walk around Amsterdam and enjoy the views. And in 3 years, I hope to have a website sold. Actually, this is one of my dreams, but to have it sold with 6 figures, and another few websites to still bring me monthly income. Yeah, I want to first get something more consistent out of this affiliate marketing field.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. And I'm going to redirect some of your question. How about fun stuff too? So you talked about work the whole time. Let's say it's a vacation day.
Oh, okay. It's a vacation day. Like having time to play guitar. I mean, I have a really beautiful, expensive guitar in the back, and I have no time to play it. So I'd love to just relax and play guitar, and maybe traveling around Europe, and spending time with my wife, and trying out different restaurants and cuisines, and traveling. Yeah, I'd love to start traveling more. A vacation days I'm speaking of, not a vacation day.
Right.
But yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, I give you permission to play guitar more. You can do that in the next 3 months too.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, carve out some time for that. It's important. Okay, so you don't have a place where people can follow you directly, but why don't you tell people where they can get to you on online?
Yeah, I think it's best on Twitter. My username there is Andra Marak. It's spelled ANDRAMARAC. So yeah, feel free to contact me there until I get a blog of my own.
Right on. Great. And I'll put a link in the show notes so people can get to it easily. And yeah, looking forward to working with you. Have a great day there, and we'll catch up soon.
Me too. See you soon.